I always thought nights were supposed to be quiet, especially in my neighborhood. But that night, the silence felt strange, almost heavy, like something was holding its breath. I had just finished cleaning the kitchen when my phone buzzed with a sudden message from my mom. It was so simple, just a single line, "Stay inside." No explanation, no context, just those two words. I remember staring at the screen, confused, wondering if she'd sent it to the wrong person. My mom was controlling, but never cryptic. I shrugged it off, set my phone down and walked toward my bedroom. But halfway through the hallway, I heard it. A soft thud outside my front door. At first, I tried to convince myself it was a raccoon or a stray cat knocking something over. But then came a sound that froze me completely. A weak voice. A voice I knew too well. "Help, please." My heart punched my ribs. I rushed to the door, but before I even opened it, another message buzzed on my phone. This time from Mom again. And this one didn't feel real. "Whatever you hear outside, don't open that door." I stood there, gripping the doorknob so tight my fingers hurt. I felt torn between instinct and fear. And when I finally unlocked the door and pulled it open, my world splintered. My sister, Aisha, was on the ground, collapsed right on my doorstep. Her face pale, her clothes dirty, her breathing shallow, her hands shaking as she tried to lift her head. I dropped to my knees beside her. "Aisha, what happened to you?" She tried to speak, but only tears came out. And then another vibration from my phone. One more message from Mom. I didn't want to look, but I did. "Don't save her. She's made her choices. Let her face them." Those weren't the words of a mother. They cut through me in a way I can't explain. And as I stared at Aisha, trembling and begging for help with her eyes, I realized something terrifying. My family was hiding something. Something big enough that my own mother didn't want me to help my own sister. But that night, I couldn't just stand there. And what I didn't know was that opening that door would expose a secret that had been buried in our family for years, a secret that would change everything I believed about the people who raised me. Mid-conflict and betrayal approximately. I dragged Aisha inside, locked the door, and grabbed a blanket to wrap around her. Her breathing was uneven, trembling in and out like she was fighting her own lungs. I held her face gently. "Aisha, talk to me. What happened?" Her eyes filled again, but this time, there was fear. "I didn't have anywhere else to go," she whispered. "They kicked me out." "They who?" I asked. She swallowed hard. "Mom and Dad." My whole chest caved in. "What? Why would they do that?" Her voice cracked as she tried to explain. I told them the truth. About what was happening, about what Dad did with the money, about how he blamed everything on me. She paused, her voice shrinking. "And Mom believed him. She called me a burden." My throat tightened. I had known my parents were strict, controlling at times, but this, throwing her out in the middle of the night. Letting her wander until she collapsed. It felt impossible, but the messages in my phone said otherwise. Before I could process any of it, Aisha winced in pain and curled up. That's when I noticed a bruise along her ribs. Not the kind you get from falling. The kind you get when someone pushes you. My breath shook. "Aisha, did Dad do this to you?" She didn't answer, but silence was enough. I felt broken, betrayed, like the ground beneath me suddenly tilted. The family I trusted, the people who raised us, had turned Aisha into something they discarded when she stopped being convenient. I picked up my phone to call Mom, wanting answers, but right when I dialed, another message came from her. "Don't you dare call the police. Handle it quietly." Handle what? My collapsing sister. Their cruelty. Their anger. That message wasn't fear. It was guilt, panic, desperation to keep something hidden. That's when it clicked. They weren't worried about Aisha. They were worried about themselves. About the truth leaking out. My hands shook as I dialed 911 anyway. "I need an ambulance," I said, my voice breaking. "My sister is injured." She collapsed at my door. Aisha grabbed my hand weakly. "They'll be angry," she whispered. "I don't care," I told her. "You're my sister." And I meant it. When the ambulance arrived, the paramedics questioned me gently while they lifted her onto the stretcher. As they rolled her away, I looked down at my phone buzzing again. Mom calling non-stop, but I didn't pick up. For the first time in my life, I felt the shift. The moment you stop being the obedient daughter and start being something else. Something stronger, But what I didn't know yet was that my parents were already preparing to twist the story, to make me the enemy, to save themselves. And I wasn't ready for the war that was coming next. Ending, revenge, climax and moral. The next morning, I visited Aisha in the hospital. She looked fragile, but safe. The doctor told me she was suffering from exhaustion, dehydration, and emotional distress. All things that don't happen overnight. She must have been suffering for a long time. While I sat beside her, my phone rang again. Mom. This time, I answered. She didn't even say hello. How dare you call emergency services? Do you know how this looks for us? People will talk. I felt something inside me tighten, but not the usual fear. This time, it was strength. Mom, I said quietly, Aisha could have died. She brought it on herself, she snapped. And you helping her only makes it worse. I closed my eyes, letting her words sink in. That was the moment I realized the truth. My mother wasn't trying to protect the family. She was trying to protect her image. Their reputation mattered more than our lives. I spoke slowly. You told me not to save her. Do you realize how cold that sounds? Mom hesitated, then ended the call without a word. And that silence told me everything. That afternoon, a social worker arrived at the hospital. She had been notified automatically after the 911 call because of the nature of Aisha's injuries. She asked questions. She listened to Aisha's story. She documented everything. And for the first time, Aisha wasn't alone. My parents tried to storm into the hospital, demanding we retract the statements, insisting Aisha had mental issues, trying to paint her as unstable. But the hospital security blocked them. Their panic grew louder and louder. I stood quietly in the hallway watching them crumble under their own lies. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I didn't need to. The truth was already exposing them. That was my revenge. Not shouting, not fighting, just letting their actions finally be seen. Aisha stayed with me after her discharge. It wasn't easy. We had long nights of crying, healing, rebuilding. But for the first time, we were doing it together. Sometimes, the people who are supposed to love you the most are the ones who wound you the deepest. And sometimes, walking away is the only way to survive. But here's what I learned. Blood may connect us, but loyalty is what makes someone family. And when the truth finally comes to light, the people who tried to break you end up breaking themselves. We found peace not because our parents changed, but because we did. And that became our real freedom.